insurstory.com, and we are available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and Amazon Music. Today, we are going to discuss on the topic unleashing the power of enterprise analytics in insurance. And for now, I'm delighted to welcome our guest, Amit Boni, who is the founder and CEO of Insurtech. Insurtech is an insurtech that enables and empowers end customers and insurance intermediaries with AI based product platforms for transformational customer experience. So, Amit, a warm welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Surya. I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Always a pleasure, Amit. To quickly jump onto the agenda for the session, we are going to touch upon some great elements of analytics and how it can transform the CX journey in insurance. So, how has the role of enterprise analytics evolved in the insurance industry, and what notable changes have you observed in recent years?
Uh, well, insurance as a business is that one of analysis, analytics, of risk analysis, of mitigation around that risk, and the business essentially centers around analytics in a lot of ways. Um, I think what has happened over last about a decade or so is as the platforms and the technology has evolved to consume a lot more data, what has become possible is to drive more meaningful, more deep analytics and inferences on the data sets that are available. So imagine yourself maybe 10, 12, 15 years back when primarily a general tool of analytics available to everyone was a spreadsheet, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
and spreadsheet had 256 different columns. It could consume only that much of columnar data. It could consume like I don't know 80,000, 90,000 rows of data, and therefore doing any kind of analytics became a limitation to that extent because of that. Now there were other tools available that would help you do it, but primarily grounds up for a lot of people who would want to do analytics in multiple areas in subsections of work. The limitation of the tools itself was an issue. And then from spreadsheets, we moved to big data and so on and so forth. Now it has come down to machine learning and artificial intelligence and so on, and things like that. So I think the very fact that today the systems and companies have the capacity to look at extremely large swaths of data, and especially very, very large swaths of time series data, is very meaningful to what can be done. Looking at that specific set of data and deriving specific meaningful use cases that have outcomes that are meaningful to their consumers. Not only applications that will be relevant to internal decision making of some sorts. So I think just the very fact that there has been a transformation of the tools and techniques in last decade or so is very, very meaningful from an enterprise analytics perspective.
So, do you see any trends when it comes to transformation of the customer journey?
Yeah, absolutely. See, if you look at multiple applications of you know data in industry, let's take two or three different areas, right? You look at, let's say, customer segmentation for if you have to do very, very specific targeting marketing, or you look at risk assessment for underwriting and optimization of underwriting. You look at
Right.
fraud detection, right? Now imagine you can today look at a lot of alternate data that can come in and help you really derive a lot of meaningful analysis, right? So let me try to give you a couple of examples. Imagine you trying to do using voice data for fraud detection, or using telematics data for underwriting purposes, or whether in environmental data for underwriting purposes, or building a parametric insurance solutions.
Yep.
I mean, there is a bunch of alternate data playbooks that are coming now today. So you may know of companies in Africa, for example, who are doing a broad scale implementation of parametric insurance in agri, specifically using satellite imagery. You can look at certain companies which are saying that we can do fraud detection on the basis of voice, or we can do fraud detection on the basis of the keystrokes that are being used on the browser itself at the time of form filling, for example, or doing a proposal or a quotation page. You can do usage-based insurance using telematics data today. There are people who are experimenting with social media data. There are people who are
Right.
experimenting with, public records and open data for that matter, or web and text data and what that can do, or biometric data for that matter, right? So I
Yep.
think just the data streams, multiple data streams, which was earlier only in a way policy data and data that comes in from, let's say, from an actuarial perspective that people used to look at. Just the swath of data is a lot more broader. It's a lot more deeper, and that is creating use cases that are materially impacting how you look at underwriting. How can you do have higher velocity of product creation for that matter? How can you, for example, do dynamic underwriting to reduce claims if you want to, or as I said in the earlier bit, customer retention in specific cases. I think those are some of the things that are meaningfully altering how insurance manufacturers, insurance carriers around the world are looking at some of the data streams and enterprise analytics broadly.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the primary challenges that insurers are facing when implementing enterprise analytics, and are there any specific strategies or solutions that have proven effective in overcoming any such hurdles per se?
Yeah, I mean, see, there is a lot of challenges, and I'll stick my neck out and say that most of the insurance companies are not technology-oriented companies.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the more you start looking at data and you want, meaningful outcomes for you to come that can fundamentally transform your, underwriting as well as operations, you have to look at larger sets of data, which means that how do you look at data quality? How do you look at data integration? In my opinion, one of the big challenges that most of the insurance manufacturers today have is that they have incomplete, inaccurate, or disparate data across various systems.
yeah,
Now, so, for example, if you have claims data and you have, policy data today, do you have a integration that can tie it up in real time and start giving you views of what needs to be done? Right? What this does is it fundamentally starts hampering the accuracy of the analytical models and therefore of the decision making.
yeah,
Now, to your point, what's the solution? I think there need to be fundamental data governance processes in insurance companies. And I think there needs to be significant investment in people who will be responsible for establishing data governance processes. How do you invest in data quality tools? How do you ensure seamless integration across disparate functions, disparate systems that exist in insurance companies? I think that is the beginning point of the challenge that most of the insurance companies have today. This- The second point, and which I think again is extremely important, is most of the insurers have very legacy systems and technology infrastructure.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
a lot of the insurance companies, even in our country, even as of today, in 2023, 24, use a lot of on-prem and hardly any cloud infrastructure. What that does is they're really looking at very specific kind of data streams. They don't have data partnerships, alternate data that comes their way. So, there are two, three issues that it generates. One, these legacy systems may not necessarily support any modern analytical tools or analytical models. So if I want to do, a swath of analytical models that I want to deploy on a certain set of data, does my system really help me do that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it starts creating difficulties in extracting, in processing data, and of course that's then it becomes a long-drawn process. You don't see ROI coming on it. People start losing interest. So it's an inefficient system that starts going into it. So yeah, I think that's an important one as well. If you ask me what needs to be done, I think I understand that it's not a switch on, switch off, system as far as at least systems and technology infrastructure is concerned. But I think a lot of people do need to get into system upgrades, and you need to see where can be system upgrades be done very very quickly. Who can you partner with? How can you bring in newer technologies? And most importantly, can you partner with more innovative companies that can bring the idea of data connectors? Now, these data connectors can then bridge between legacy as well as modern systems.
So, do you see scalability as a challenge here?
But
Because
see,
when we really talk about data in insurance, it's ideally, a the volume is something exponential, right?
Yep. See, scalability, in my opinion, is an issue as long as these two factors around data quality and technology infrastructure is not addressed. Let me try to give an example. A lot of people and a lot of our intermediary partners, even today, have a lot of their historical data sitting in either on paper or on PDF files.
Right.
And we are helping a lot of those people at Insurtech to kind of move to a cloud infrastructure in which a lot of that data is available to them on a click of a button. Now, if you need those data streams to move to a digital infrastructure, so that then you can deploy a lot more data to it. So I think if you can take care of the data quality and infrastructure bit, I think the scalability will start happening by itself.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a valid point, definitely.
And you see, if you ask me, I think another issue that insurance companies have is they don't necessarily, as I said, I think it's a mindset thing. Most of the insurance companies are, underwriting companies and distribution companies. They
Yeah.
don't see, apart from the underwriting teams, most of the organization does not necessarily see an analytical process bearing fruits for them immediately. So I think making sure that you have an organizational culture that really appreciates what enterprise analytics can do, and not only from a product creation perspective, but for example, how can you distribute better? Imagine if you can do forecasting at a zip code level and be able to say, I know at a zip code level, this product will sell XYZ, and in region A, this is the better product. In region B, this is a better product.
Yeah.
Right? Your ability then to align fundamentally all kind of resources, not only human resources, but also marketing resources or educational resources behind that becomes lot more efficient, becomes lot more seamless. So yeah, I think organizational culture and therefore backing that with the right kind of talent is going to be extremely important for insurers as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, talking about customer experience broadly, in what ways is enterprise analytics reshaping the customer experience in insurance? And can you share a brief example of a successful application?
Yeah,
Particularly
see,
when we talk about, in insurance, it's primarily the
mhm.
fraud detection, prevention, the customer engagement journey, or even customer service optimization,
So
strategies.
yeah, I'll give you I'll give you two examples. I'll give you one which is very about 36,000 feet kind of an example, and one that I've seen in real life. Allow me not to name the companies.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so in one case, imagine you do motor insurance, right? And you have a lot of data about what the kind of products that you sold. Now, the same company is also selling health insurance products as well. Now, if you know, for example, that you have a given set of consumers who have who you're insuring, and their vehicles that you're insuring are all luxury cars, for example, right? Imagine they're the buyers of BMWs and Audis and Range Rovers of the world. Would you want to target them with a health insurance product that costs you about 5,000 rupees? Does that even give them the right kind of coverage?
Yeah.
And we've seen, and we're working with one of the company in which we are fundamentally helping them kind of build a bridge between their legacy systems, which have siloed both these playbooks, and say, how do you kind of bring that together? How can you look at a customer and look at them in a segment that kind of flows across a wider variety of your product plays? And then are those, for example, customers, let us say, are they entrepreneurs? Are they CXOs? Are they, decision makers in large enough companies, wherein then you can go and pitch products which are commercial products, for example, or which are relevant to those large companies as products. So how one data stream can help those and them analyze their playbooks. And when you go to the customer with the right kind of product, the odds that that customer will be able to have a more meaningful discussion with you becomes a lot more better. The very fact that you can look at analytics of policies and data and then be able to say, you know what, the policy that you have is still creating a protection gap of, let's say, 20%, 50% for you. And hey, here is a product that may be better for you, that's better fitment for you, or here is a product that you need to buy because that is the one that builds or covers the protection gap. I think those are the kind of conversations, more meaningful conversations that you can start having with your customers. The more meaningful that conversation is, the much more likely is the customer to get access to the right product, have a better renewal rate, as well as call that product in the time of need when they have to. So I think that's one large use case that we've seen in terms of how enterprise analytics flowing across the customer groups, flowing across the insurance types, can fundamentally help from getting right kind of products to the customer and building up a more meaningful long-term LTV as well as relationship with the end customers.
Yep.
The second example is, imagine if there is a product that's priced a certain way. Can that product be priced a little bit more dynamically, looking at, for example, the claims ratios? And we've seen this one international insurer which does dynamic underwriting, and as the product is sold over a period of time, what they are doing is they're looking at their claims numbers. They're kind of settling the algorithm in a way that makes sure that those claims numbers never go beyond a certain margin. And if it starts going that way, the price of the product starts changing as well. Now, that price of the product could go up, it could go down, but the pricing is dynamic, backed by a dynamic underwriting engine. And that dynamic underwriting engine, the rule engine, is set on a very wide set of data that picks up multiple analytical metrics and brings them together to create that underwriting model. And in both these cases, we've seen extremely meaningful value being accrued to the insurance manufacturers themselves. I mean, it's creating better books, it's creating better customer experience, and it is creating very, very meaningful product creation roadmap as well going forward. Because suddenly, when you see that customer is happy, and you see that it's their experience is good, the kind of products that you are selling are more meaningful fitments. It's increasing the productivity of your sales force or your sales teams. It starts telling you the right kind of products that consumers want. So it's overall very, very meaningful across the board.
Yep, no, absolutely. I think this illustrates how leveraging analytics can really revolutionize the traditional process, and of course leading to a more streamlined and customer-friendly insurance experience.
Yep.
So, any closing thoughts, Amit?
Yeah, I mean, one of our views that we always share with our partners, whether they are insurers in India or some of the insurers that we work outside of India, or intermediary clients that we work with, is start looking at enterprise analytics, because as we go down the path wherein AI and machine learning becomes more pervasive, really the folks who will be able to command very meaningful market shares as well as wallet shares and drive both these metrics very, very profitably will be the ones who will be able to see data in more meaningful ways, which means that they should start looking at their technology infrastructure, their data technology infrastructures now. And that's going to be very, very important.
Absolutely. I think legacy modernization, at least, something that should be at the top of the agenda now for most insurers, if not all.
Absolutely.
So with that, Amit, thank you very much. A fantastic discussion, and thank you for sharing your thoughts today. A true delight to have you as our guest.
Thanks very much, Surya. It's a pleasure being on your podcast, and wish you luck.
Thanks so much, Amit. And lastly, to wrap this up, you are listening to the Insurtech Story podcast. Thank you for listening, and see you at our next episode. Take care and stay safe. Goodbye for now.